All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope your week is rocking and rolling and doing good. We're going to have some fun tonight. We got a lot of good stuff to look at here in the Arctic Air Studios. If your air is not Arctic this weekend, you need to call the Bear. Callthebear.com. Locally owned and operated, veteran owned and operated. My man Shane. Shout out to the Marine Corps. They'll get you taken care of there with Arctic Air. All the communication, United Supermarkets, where you can go in the next, hours or whatever and get some great meat to grill this weekend because the weather's going to be fantastic. Thank you, United Supermarkets, for making all of that happen. You like the shirts we wear some days? Sometimes? Yeah, yeah. Boot City, One Money Saving Mile outside the West Loop on 19th, the official apparel center for Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland. All of the Western wear you need, all the cool shirts for spring and summer right now. And of course, we're brought to you by The Reserve, a culinary tavern. An eclectic menu? No, a great menu, a creative menu. Fantastic brunch. Cocktails? Yes, they have those, and they're really creative and fun. And you can watch all the tech games. What more do you need? So, those of you just joining us now, you know what to do. The early arrivals, let us know the audio is good, the video is good. Then we shall get on down the road tonight talking about Tech baseball. Big win last night in Abilene, 21-3, run ruled them. A school record 9 home runs. I've seen two records broken this year in Tech baseball that me and Mark Finkner were on the call for. One was the 32 run outburst earlier this year against Texas Southern that eclipsed the one against College of the Southwest in 1997. And then again in 1997 at Missouri, an 8 home run night, the last time Tech had done that. And they get 9 last night. 4 with 2, and then I can't remember who was the only one who only had 1. What are you doing there? So we got that. We'll talk about the Baylor non-coach search because Scott Drew says no to Kentucky, and then Tech fans can relax, even though you should have been relaxed before. Why did you think McCasland would go? Why did you think McCasland would go to Baylor? Either or Thursday, Masters, lifetime 4 badges, or Tech season tickets, every sport plus the postseason, lifetime. And then I'll tell you a story before we get out here tonight. O.J. Simpson is dead, and I only wish that Norm Macdonald was not dead so Norm Macdonald could absolutely destroy O.J. one more time. But we'll talk about how we covered it in 1994. The first weeks of the Williams and Hyatt Show in 1994 occur during the murder and the whole, driving down the freeway and everything else in that summer on how to cover or talk about or not talk about the O.J. Simpson deal. I'll tell you how we handled it. So let you guys get your comments flowing. Whatever's on your mind, what do you want to talk about tonight? You tell us. We're glad you're with us. If you are on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, it doesn't matter. United Supermarkets and Market Street making the conversation happen. So get the conversation started tonight. Get your comments rolling in. What do you want to do tonight? What impressed you about Tech baseball? You tell us. Now, Tech baseball, RPI, D1baseball.com, the only ones you pay attention to in college baseball. 35 today. I think I put 34 on the website earlier this morning on our daily column, which I know you go to every morning and check out the hot links and everything else because you do. And either way, 34, 35, the highest it's been this year in the RPI. Usually Tech is within the top 25 or top 20. This year has been a slog. The non-conference scheduling just didn't work out. You had some teams just extra bad that didn't help you out on that front. So you're trying to make it up in Big 12 play and otherwise. So you get another one. You're up about 19 spots still in the last week, which is pretty good. 35 is borderline NCAA tournament. We'll see. Maybe it was out today and I missed it. Maybe they're waiting for another week. D1 Baseball does their projections each week, and I think maybe they're waiting another week to do another one. Last week, Tech was the first 4 out. I still think they're on the outside looking in. I think they've got some metric problems, but this helps. Now you get a TCU team that's right where you are in the same neighborhood, about 4 worse on the RPI right now. You need to win the series. That's all there is to it. 1-2 doesn't help you much. 2-1 really helps you. We're not going to talk about a sweep. You don't go on the road and sweep in the Big 12 against good teams. TCU is an immensely talented team that has not performed to expectations in Big 12 play. And you just don't want to be the team that makes that happen. You don't want to be the team that's out there. Free gets the start tomorrow. It's going to be Robinson on Saturday and Hewer on Sunday before you take a day off and then head up to the hills of Arkansas. And you do what you can do up there. So, ideal situation would be, like to me, best case scenario. Best case scenario, you win every game. Second best case scenario, take 2 of 3, however you can get it from TCU and Fort Worth. Win that series. Win the Big 12 series. You go to Arkansas, you're playing on house money next weekend or next week. And if you somehow could get a midweek game against them, it would be, you'd probably go up 10 spots. You'd probably be in the 20s and maybe in the teens if you took the series from TCU and took one game at Arkansas. That's the beauty of the midweeks. Now you're the team on the midweek that's going in taking a puncher's chance, as opposed to Tech usually being the team in the midweek where you're going, okay, we don't want anybody to get anything off us. Maybe you can go there and get something. You don't alter anything. You don't change pitching, obviously. They hadn't done that. But you never know. You might get one. Hi there, Joe. Good evening to the beautiful South Plains. Good evening to the, you're not on the plains of Alabama, but good evening there in Alabama. He's just a good misplaced West Texan is all Joe is right there. So your thoughts on last night? Like we said, the bats came alive. We've been waiting to see could they do something away from home, and so far they hadn't done anything away from home, away from Danlaw Field for the most part this year. Whether it was midweek, otherwise non-conference, neutral site, you name it, you hadn't seen much. Watching it last night, I'm not going to tell you that ACU is a great team, but they're not anywhere near the worst team you played. In fact, I think their RPI is better than Baylor on the full season this year. Hence the reason you moved up just a little bit. The pitching was not stellar, but you only gave up 3 runs and a 21-3 walk-off win there in the 7th inning on a run rule. So you sit there and go, okay, maybe a few more walks than you would want, but you threw your midweek guys out there, and they were able to make it happen. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. I think I've still got it up on my screen. Yeah, so, Parker gets the start, 2 1/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 earned, 3 walks, no strikeouts, facing 15 batters. Great. Too many pitches a little bit early. Rhodes in, walk, okay, take him out. Luce gets the win, 2 1/3, just 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Huffling, the former Abilene Christian pitcher, who now pitches for you, an inning, 2 walks. I don't like that, a strikeout. And then Baugh finished up the pitched in the 7th, went 2 strikeouts in an inning, no walks. So 7 walks, and that's too many, but that's kind of midweek. That's kind of what you deal with sometimes on the midweek. Main thing, you didn't really have to burn any pitching that you needed to use to get a win that you would need to use this weekend. So that's the most important thing right there. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk a little basketball right now. Glad you're with us, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. And any of those channels that you're on, you can share this. You can put it out there on your page and whatever, and invite people and say, hey, we're talking West Texas things, Texas Tech stuff. We're doing that tonight. So let's talk about, if we can, why some people were all fired up and worried about Coach McCasland leaving Tech basketball to go to Waco if Scott Drew took the Kentucky job, which earlier today, this morning, the reports came out that Drew had told Kentucky, yeah, no, I really don't think so. I'm staying at Baylor. Let that sink in for a moment, by the way, for all the Kentucky fans out there. He said, I'd rather be in Waco than Lexington. I'd rather be at Baylor than Kentucky. And why wouldn't he? He's had more success than Kentucky over the last 5 or 6 years. The game has changed a lot, and not just NIL and portal and everything else. And you look at what Calipari has done, and we talked about this the other day. Arkansas is not hiring who they think they're hiring. That you can sit there and say they didn't run off Musselman, that he left, that he went to UCLA. Okay, whatever. They were tired of each other. He's easy to get tired of talking about Musselman. But they go out and get a guy who's performed worse at a so-called better blue blood school than Arkansas. Is Kentucky becoming Nebraska football, says Chris. Hi there, Frank Solich. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of right now. Lance, the home runs were as good as taco pizza. Ain't nothing better than taco pizza. You find a place that does good taco pizza, tell me about it. I want some of that. 9 home runs, 7 innings. Eclipsed. I put out on Twitter, I think you can see it on Twitter, on Ryan Hyatt Media on Twitter, my scorebook from that night, which again, for those who know me, I have horrible penmanship. You can actually read my scorebook from that night. Pretty impressive. So why were people worried about McCasland leaving Texas Tech? Why were people worried about, oh man, if Scott Drew takes that Kentucky job, Baylor's going to come up here and they're going to get McCasland, and he's only been here a year and he made the tournament? You guys got to break out of your negative vibes, as Oddball said on Kelly's Heroes. Jamming me up with these negative waves, man. You're a have, you're not a have not. Why, if anyone wants to, why would McCasland leave Lubbock for Waco if that job had opened up? What's better about it? Oh, well, they won a national championship a few years ago. You played for one, and you were 60 seconds away. That much. No difference. You've had just as much success, for the most part, in the same time frame, in the same era. You got a better arena. There's a smaller. It's newer, but it's not any better. You got a better arena. You got better support. 10 times better support. They can't money whip you. So why were people worried about that? Do they think that McCasland has some love affair just because he coached down there for a few years? His wife went to Texas Tech. He was here before. So why was that angst out there? It's because, again, not you guys, because y'all are really smart, because y'all watch this show, because you're a part of Raiderland. But there's still a lot of people out there that walk around thinking Tech's a poor. The Tech's a have not. You're not a have not. You're a have. Then there's what I used to call the battered dog syndrome, that there are some Tech fans who are older who feel so beat down that it's, oh my gosh, everything bad's going to happen to us and everything else. You guys got to break out of that. Chris, after the beard stuff, I've stopped worrying about coaches leaving. The beard thing was the beard thing. He did what he was going to do. And now he's at Ole Miss. And he didn't want, apparently, the Arkansas job that Calipari wanted. Well, anyways. Baylor is perceived as a better program, and GMAC went to Baylor. Plus, Tech fans have battered fan syndrome. I didn't even see that before I was saying the battered dog deal. Perceived as a better program, I guess, but by whom? Why would Tech fans perceive it as a better program? You've been right there with them. 60 seconds difference. You'd have a national title. They'd have a national title. They have no more money than you. They don't get better support. You have a bigger arena. You've got better fan support. So why do some fans perceive it that way? And their national championship came in a COVID bubble. Jerry, it's in a bubble. Bubble, Jerry. They do have Chip and Joanna Gaines. Yes, they do. Who would be the Chip and Joanna Gaines of Lubbock and West Texas? I really don't know. So, this idea that We didn't waste any, let the record show. And you guys who are on the broadcast right now, and I want you to comment, thanks to United Supermarkets and Market Street. All comments, text line, question, whatever you want to call it, thanks to them. They support Texas Tech. They send money to Texas Tech. There's another big grocery chain in Lubbock that sends your money down there to Austin where they advertise on all their stuff. You do the math. Anyhow, why this feeling of angst? I don't get it. I really don't when it comes to Baylor. Maybe that's just me. Either or Thursday, we give you a tough question. You guys answer it. I give you this tonight, and you can weigh in, no matter whether you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. Lifetime 4 badges, the Masters, or lifetime season tickets to all Texas Tech sporting events, including postseason, and we'll pay for your trip in the postseason to the bowl game or whatever. Which would you choose? 4 badges, Masters, or just and that's a lifetime, or a lifetime of all Texas Tech season tickets and postseason everything? What would you do? Chris says you have a better NIL program than Baylor too. Yeah. If not better, at least equal. Certainly not less. NIL right now, it's you sit there and go, okay, who does what on a given day? But Tech is not a poor when it comes to NIL. Tech's not lost anybody of value or otherwise strictly due to NIL, not because they couldn't pay. In fact, they probably bought, a couple of things on the basketball side that were damaged goods because of NIL, because they overpaid, because they were willing to pay so much in NIL. Hi there, Bardos. Anyhow, there hadn't been a singular NIL deal that you've lost out on that I'm aware of that you go, yeah, Tech can't compete. My nose itches. I've been sneezing all day. Anybody else sneezing all day? So my little allergy alert deal or whatever that I get on the phone app deal with the weather thing said it was an 8.8 on 12, which is way below what it's been. But then it said mulberry. Apparently mulberry makes me sneeze. I didn't know that. Baylor was the frame. Baylor was the frame for how NIL would work. Give me a little more on that, and I'll elucidate some more. They did buy some pigs and a poke in basketball. You don't want to buy a pig and a poke. I've always said that. Imagine the jokes involving Baylor and David Koresh if NIL was around back in '93. Well, I mean, there was jokes around David Koresh, Baylor, and everything else. But the angst that was coming, and we didn't spend a lot of time, as you guys know, the last several days, whatever, this week on it, because I didn't think it was worth it. Regarding McCasland jumping to Baylor. That if the Baylor job had come open, Baylor probably makes a call. I would assume, you would hope so, right? You want your coach to be wanted by other places. I think Tang was probably the coach that they would have gone to because they could get him. Because I think Jerome Tang and all of a sudden Kansas State, there's weird stuff going on up there in Manhattan. This last year was a rocky year up there, not just record-wise, but within the relationship that it seems like Tang has with the president, with the athletic department, everything. It all of a sudden it took a weird tenor, T-N-O-R, tenor. And he would have absolutely jumped, I think, for even, a cheaper deal. Not saying that Tang's better than McCasland, just saying, and looking at the way it would have played out, I think that's how it would have played out. So, Jerry is on Facebook. Hello, Jerry. Tech has some fair weather fans. They always take the negative side. I don't know. It's fair weather fans again, Jerry. I think maybe some of them been conditioned to expect the worst. They always expect the worst. They still view Tech and depending on how old they are, in terms of 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, about a 51, 52, 53, 55 automobile. You could just say, picked it up at the factory. It's cheaper that way. That I think they've been beat down. There's your Johnny Cash reference for the night. I think some of them have been beat down to do that. Cubs fans pre-16. Yeah. But I think a lot of them just really don't realize where tech is in the modern landscape, the right now landscape of college athletics, budget wise, facility wise, what they pay, NIL, everything about it. I don't think some of them get it. And I would say that it's like the Lubbock bubble of old that they just don't know. But no, it's a lot of fans that are in Metroplex and around the state now, outside of Lubbock. It's not a provincial thing anymore. And I don't know exactly what fuels that. I truly don't understand it. You guys probably interact with more people that way than I do. You guys probably interact with more fans like that, the Debbie Downers of the world and whatever, than I do, because I refuse to put up with that crap. And they know, not to bring it around me, but I just don't get it. Cubs pre-2016. So either Masters 4 badges. You don't get tickets, by the way. You get a badge. 4 tickets for life. Or Texas Tech season tickets, all sports, including postseason for life, and travel to the postseason games. Which one would you take and why? I know it's Masters week and it's kind of a loaded question. That's why I did that, by the way. I knew there'd be people saying Masters, but and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. If you went one time to the Masters, would that be enough? If you went once, do you have to go back? Or like I've got a cousin, and married into the family, but anyways, who had badges, Masters badges, and went several times. It was like, you go once, you got to keep going. What would you do though? Once a year, you'd go to the Masters, or everything Tech going forward. I can't answer the question, and here's why. I get to go to the games for free. Sorry. Media passes. See, I'd be taking the Masters badges. If I were a normal, everyday person, though, who is probably more inclined to be a Tech sports fan, and you gave me all of those passes and everything for all the sports and postseason and a little trip here and there, would there not be more value? The money you would save there, could you not maybe buy a trip to the Masters somehow? You tell me. June of 1994, the Williams and Hyatt Show started, and back then it was called Sports Talk with Don Williams and Ryan Hyatt. Very wordy. Sports Talk with Don Williams and Ryan Hyatt. So not a week or so into the show, the murder of Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman happens, and then the night of the chase with O.J. Simpson and everything else happens, and this becomes this huge, massive sports news story, and Don and I are thrust into it, trying to navigate our way. We're trying to figure out how to do a call-in show at the time. They're on KFYO, the mighty 790. And trying to figure out, what do we want to do with this thing? And I ended up, because Don didn't talk back then, I ended up taking the approach that David Letterman took, that one, I don't find double homicide funny. Two, that it just didn't seem like something that we wanted to spend more than a couple of minutes talking about every day, because what was there to talk about, even though there were others that spent an inordinate amount of time on that during that time frame. We didn't ignore it. But again, it did not dominate our airwaves. Obviously, O.J. Simpson, no real direct connection to West Texas, anything, but it was the huge dominant story for weeks and weeks and weeks. And we pretty much made the decision that while we would acknowledge it, that it would not be a driving force of trying to generate fake calls of outrage or this or that umbrage or anything else, that it would just be out there. And I look back on how two different ways that David Letterman and Jay Leno handled that. And Jay Leno, that's in the early years of him hosting the Tonight Show. Letterman had gone to CBS. Letterman never really did any jokes about it, never did anything much about it. The famous quote, I guess I don't find double homicide funny. Meanwhile, Leno lit it up every night. Leno, made jokes about it, just utilize that to leverage and move forward his career on the Tonight Show. Now, over the years, Letterman obviously went nuts, and he's just a colossal jackass now. But I respected it back then, and we kind of I took my cue from that aspect. Chris, very underrated, 30 for 30, June 17, 1994. Highly underrated. It is the day of the chase. The Knicks, who are the Knicks playing? Now I forget who the Knicks were playing. You've got the NBA Finals going on. You've got the Masters, Arnold Palmer's last appearance at the Masters. The World Cup is opening up. It is an unbelievable confluence of everything. Thank you, the Rockets. That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because Michael Jordan was still on suspension for gambling from the NBA that year. Thank you very much. Yeah. So it's Houston and it's the Knicks. It's it's a great 30 for 30 if you've never seen it. Karen, there's just so much stuff that was going on. And we were watching it. I mean, I'm watching it live. I met my friend Kent Best. Shout out Kent Best. We had gone out to maybe can't remember where we started off that night, whether Lone Star or Mamaritas or something like that. After the show, and we're hanging out, doing some stuff. And then we go back over there. We're going to watch the game, and then obviously everything happens out. Norm Macdonald did the best humor in relation to OJ because he skewered OJ. He destroyed OJ. It was magnificent, and NBC hated it. One of the reasons why they ran him off Saturday Night Live. And I hope that Norm Macdonald, well, actually, no, I hope Norm Macdonald didn't get to greet him, because that would imply that OJ got to go somewhere that I believe Norm Macdonald hopefully is. And hopefully he didn't. Maybe there's a way station and Norm could go down there and say, hey, yeah, you finally killed the real killer. Congrats. See ya. Great 30 for 30 on that. So we didn't spend an inordinate amount of time on it. It did not drive a lot of discussion with us. And again, I mean, all of a sudden we're 2 weeks into doing a show and trying to figure out how do we handle this massive story. Yeah, Norm Macdonald, best humor on that. Now I want to go back and watch some Norm cuts on some of that. You said cuts. Our last chance to get in. Tech Baseball, your thoughts on why people thought McCasland would leave Tech. Why would he leave Tech to go to Baylor? And do you have to deal with these people? Do you have to deal with friends like that? How do you deal with that? How do you help them out? What do you tell them? How do you go, I'm here to help. We're here to help. Yeah. Yeah. It's a big hat. It's a funny hat. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's a big hat. Greatest contestant on Jeopardy ever, Turd Ferguson. Ross, that's what them fake Campbellites get for playing baseball on a Wednesday instead of going. Ross never shows up. He never shows up, ever, hardly ever. A random comment here and there, and he wins the comment of the day that we don't hand out. Fake Campbellites. That is good. Well done, Ross. Well done. Golly. Been sitting on that all day, huh? You got it. That right there. The public needs to demand that Ross, by the way, chimes in more often. If you think anybody can be more sarcastic, maybe and even jaded than me, let me introduce you to Ross. He may be more sarcastic than I can be, if that's humanly possible. And I really don't think it is. What? Campbellites. They could actually change their name to that. It'd be kind of good. What else we got? You guys got anything else? I'm going to get out of here in a second if you guys got nothing else. I do want you to do a few things for us. Here's what I want you to do. No matter what platform you're watching on, go subscribe to our YouTube channel tonight. There in Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland YouTube or whatever it's called. It's easy to find. Subscribe to that. Drive up that because it drives up the count for our great advertisers like the Reserve, a culinary tavern here in West Texas, where you can watch all the Tech games. And it's not a sports bar. It's a great restaurant. They just love Texas Tech so much that they'll put the games on when you're watching it. Maybe like Boot City, Arctic Air, United Supermarkets, just a few. But everything you guys can subscribe to, our YouTube channel, drive the metrics on that, share that. Facebook, anything else on that, Twitter at Ryan Hyatt Media. That helps the people that make this thing go. And that's how we get to do what we get to do. We get to hang out. We get to have a good time. We get to have a fun time, a good time, right? We'll be back with you tomorrow. Get ready for it. Most Texan thing you have done this week. We'll have Raiderland hot links ready to go for you. We'll scour the internet for all sorts of cool stuff that you need to know about. And then we love it when you guys post your own links as well. All right, that's going to shut it down for us. I got to hit this button right here. It says that. And now I have to strike much like Fred Garvin from Days of Old, a seductive pose.